All right, well, good morning. I want to thank everyone for being here today as we kick off Election Day 2020. I'd like to thank Director Krebs and CISA for the countless hours of hard work that he and his team have put into ensuring that this election is the most secure election in U.S. history. The Department of Homeland Security has many missions across the national security spectrum. But one of the most important is securing our electoral process. And we take this responsibility seriously because we recognize that protecting and securing elections is fundamental to maintaining a functioning democracy. Recognizing the threats posed to our democratic system, President Trump directed DHS, CISA, and the entire federal government to utilize all the tools we have available to make sure that each American can cast their ballots and know that their vote will count. Our top priority at DHS and CISA is to ensure that American voters decide American elections. We believe it is absolutely critical that our democratic process is free of foreign and undue influence here at home or from abroad. That said, we recognize that we face a multitude of foreign interference threats against our election infrastructure. For example, we know that our foreign adversaries, including China, Iran, and Russia, would like nothing more than to manipulate our democratic process for their own benefit. But let me be clear, our election infrastructure is resilient, and we have no indications that a foreign actor has succeeded in compromising or affecting the actual votes cast in this election. But we do remain on high alert here at DHS and CISA throughout the day and beyond to make sure that the integrity of our election infrastructure is maintained. The Constitution charges state and local officials with administering elections, but that does not mean that the federal government is sitting idly by. In fact, we began laying the groundwork to secure this year's election long ago by engaging in an unprecedented level of effort across the U.S. government with our state, local, and private sector partners. CISA is the lead agency for DHS's election security efforts and is providing support and assistance to thousands of state and local election officials across the country. Prior to the election, we engaged with our partners on several initiatives. We provided online security training courses to nearly 3,000 election officials. We engaged in our third annual nationwide tabletop the vote exercise, which included more than 2,000 participants. We provided weekly reporting to more than 200 election stakeholders. We also stood up several processes that will keep Election Day running smoothly and effectively, including helping election officials identify vulnerabilities and manage the risk to their systems by providing vulnerability scanning and penetration testing. We're monitoring traffic in all 50 states with Albert sensors to detect hacking attempts and cyber intrusions in our election infrastructure. We're sharing information at an unprecedented rate, allowing us to spot even the smallest events and share them across the entire community in order to stop threats in their tracks. And finally, we stood up the Ops Center that we're here in today, which will operate as a central hub for our ongoing efforts to keep our elections safe and secure. In addition to DHS's efforts, the American people also have a critical role to play in securing our elections. American voters should be prepared and understand how voting might have changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and go to the polls if they have not already mailed in their ballots. Voters should consume information responsibly by thinking critically and utilizing multiple trusted sources for their news and for their updates. Perhaps most importantly, voters should be patient while waiting for the outcome of this year's election. Rest assured, however, our partners at the state and local level are working around the clock to make sure that each vote is counted properly. It is important to recognize that this process may require time. Before I conclude, let me once again commend the men and women of CISA for all of their hard work, not only today, but in the years leading up to today. Voting is a sacred right afforded to every American, and we at DHS are proud to defend that right from any foreign influence that would seek or compromise it. Because of the work we're doing here today, each and every voter will be able to exercise their right to vote and know that their voice will be heard. Let me turn it over to Director Krebs, who will provide a little bit more detail on CISA's work and the process throughout the day.
Thank you, Acting Secretary Wolf. Happy Election Day, or as I call it, happy last day to vote. First, I'd like to thank the thousands of election officials across the country who have worked tirelessly over the last several months and year to ensure that we can carry out our civic duty of voting. I'd also like to thank the hundreds of thousands of poll workers who have braved Mother Nature and a pandemic to ensure that we can vote safely in person today. Along those lines, I'd also like to thank the various federal partners that have worked to protect the 2020 election. That includes the Election Assistance Commission, the intelligence community, the National Security Agency, the CIA, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, also the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Department of Defense Cybercom. As the Secretary mentioned, my team here at the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency has worked tirelessly over the last 3.5 years, flown thousands of miles, spent countless nights away from home to ensure that this election is as secure as possible. And I do have confidence that the vote is secure, the count is secure, and the results will be secure. We have seen some attempts by foreign actors, Iran and Russia, to attempt to interfere in the 2020 election. We have addressed those threats quickly, comprehensively, and publicly. We're not out of the woods yet, though. Today, in some sense, is halftime. There may be other events or activities or efforts to interfere and undermine confidence in the election. So I'd ask all Americans to be patient, to treat all sensational and unverified claims with skepticism. And remember, technology sometimes fails and breaks. We are already seeing some early indications of system disruption. So again, I ask you to be patient, to seek trusted sources of information, and that's going to be your state and local election officials. The last thing I'd mention is that regardless of the outcome here, there is a common bond amongst all that's stronger than political affiliation, and that's that we're all Americans. And so I'd ask that you treat your brothers and sisters out there with kindness and respect in the coming days, and keep calm, vote on, and then after today, keep calm and let them count on. Thank you.
Got time for a few questions.
Take a few questions.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm here on behalf of all the pool networks. I'm with CBS specifically, but this is both to Mr. Wolf and Mr. Krebs. The president is reportedly ready to claim victory before the states have officially called the races. You just told voters to obtain information from reliable sources in states. If there isn't a clear winner tonight and one candidate claims victory, how will your institutions remind American voters that their results are not yet final?
So a couple of points. Again, elections are run by states, so we're going to rely on local state election officials to make sure that their election or their ballots are counted. Over the course of the day, we're going to make sure that we stay focused on the mission that CISA has, making sure that we keep our state local officials apprised of any information, of any intelligence that we're getting, sharing that with them, making sure that their systems from a cybersecurity perspective are safe and secure. So again, we're going to let the campaigns do what they do, and the folks here at CISA are going to stay focused on their mission. Chris, you have anything to add?
That's pretty much it.
This is specifically towards Mr. Wolf. Data indicates that a record number of Americans have already voted both in person and by mail, despite the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. What assurance can you offer the American people that election integrity will be upheld during what appears to be already historic turnout?
But again, that's what CISA's been doing every day over the past several years. So whether folks have early voted, they're voting on election day, they're mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, we're going to make sure, CISA's going to make sure again that the security and the integrity of the ballot box is just that, is secure. And that's what they've been doing throughout the course of the last several years. So we're going to continue to do that. We have great relationships, again, that we built over the last 3.5 years that did not exist in 2016. We saw 2018 perhaps be one of the most secure elections that we had, and it's because of the work that the men and women here in this room and elsewhere have done to do that. So we'll keep doing our work.
Yeah, I'd like to add two things on that point. First is that historic turnout at this point, we're probably over about 105 million, on track to maybe 150 some odd million. That early voting has given us two security perspectives I have. First is that shows that the American people have confidence in the security of the votes. They're out there, they're voting, and they're doing it in a confident way. The second thing is that has stretched out our opportunity to identify identify issues, complications in the voting process, and be able to address them much earlier on. So we don't have a lot of issues piling up and mitigate any issues.
On that point, may I have just a follow-up question? What sort of issues have you been able to iron out due to
Well,
the fact that people?
So I think the best example thus far is that we saw a couple weeks ago some emails tied to some Iranian cyber actors were sent out to the American people intimidating voters. And then we saw a video that came along with it. Within 27 hours of initially identifying those emails, we were able to both convene a briefing with our state officials and share that information with them, and then immediately bring the information to the American public, and so that they can make their own decisions on the things that are being presented to them. And so again, it's about identifying issues quickly and transparently, and giving the American voter the information they need to make their decisions.
And I guess a follow-up to that follow-up, in your remarks, you indicated that there were systems disruptions already, or were you referring to anything that happened this morning or in the
So
past?
early, every time you have an election, there's technology involved, and technology is used to improve access as well as increase the accuracy of the vote. But also election officials make sure that technology is not a single point of failure. So there are failovers, there are resilience measures like paper backup. So if you go to a voting location and there's an issue with check-in, they have paper, and so they have a paper poll book. Also, if there's some other issue, there are paper ballots, provisional ballots. So the important reminder here is that first, the American voter has patience, but also that if you experience any issue, ask for help from the poll workers.
This is one of my last questions directed to both of you. There has been some rhetoric from President Trump's administration suggesting that Americans participate in poll watching in an unofficial capacity. What measures have been put in place to limit any sort of illegal activity at these voting precincts?
Again, that's not really going to be security or CISA. We're going to let states run their own elections, and they have procedures on how to do that, from poll watchers to everything in between. So again, what we're focused on here at CISA and DHS is making sure that those election infrastructure that they operate are safe, secure, and free from any cyber attacks. So we're going to continue.
Julia,
Okay, this is an easy question. Have either of you voted yet?
I think Chris has a sticker on at the moment. I have as well, yes,
By mail or in person?
in person.
And Mr. Cook?
Yeah, I voted this morning in person. It was safe to do so. Flew right through. Everybody seemed prepared and eager to get on with the day.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great, thank you.